Hi, this is Steve Griffin, and this is my lesson for distance learning. Um, I'm going to be teaching today an algebra lesson, and you might be thinking, then why am I looking at a picture of two ladies in a supermarket? Well, when I teach this concept in algebra, I like to use the idea or the concept of going to a supermarket. The concept that we'll be teaching today is the concept of combining like terms. Well, when you go to the supermarket and you go to the produce section, you have to make sure that every vegetable or every fruit that you get is packaged with fruits or vegetables of the same kind, the same type. For example, if you're going to buy apples, you cannot mix in oranges with your bag of apples because when you get up to the checkout counter, they're going to make you separate the apples from the oranges. They can only check you out or weigh your fruit if they are of the same type. Well, it's very much the same concept in algebra. I've got an example down here, and we've got some different terms here. If you remember from past lessons that we've done, terms are separated by plus and minus signs. The other thing that we know about terms is that the coefficient or the number out here in the front of the term it can be different. You can have what's called like terms with different numbers in the front. The key that we're looking at here is the letter. The letters have to match in order for the terms to be what we call like terms. So in this example that we have 3a, and the like term that matches it is over here, the 2a. So if we're in the grocery store and we're in the fruit section and we're looking at apples, we'll call the 2a and the 3a, we'll call those apples. So if we go to the fruit section and we look there and we see two different kinds of apples that we like, and we put 2 apples of one type and 3 apples of another type, we would end up with 5 apples. Now, notice that we do not end up with 5a squared apples. That's a very common mistake that a lot of students make, is we'll look at that and we'll say, well, yeah, I have 5a squared. They'll try to combine these. But when we're combining like terms, we do not combine the exponents, or we do not add the a's. We just add the coefficients together, these numbers right here. So in my bag, I have 5 apples. And now I'm looking at the other term, and that's the B term. Let's call these bananas. So we're going to go to the supermarket, and we're going to pick up 3 bananas, and then in another bunch, we're going to pick up 2 bananas. So in total, we are going to have 5 bananas. So the answer to this question would be 5a plus 5b. Now, the reason why we can't go any farther with that is because we don't have any more like terms. Once you've combined all the like terms that you have, you're done. You can't progress any farther. A lot of students want a very simple answer like 6ab or 10ab, or they try to combine, but you can't combine the a and the b because they're not the same kind of fruit. We have to have separate bags for each type of fruit. The apples have to go in one bag and the bananas have to go into the other bag. So this is actually the answer, 5a plus 5b. And you think, well, that's pretty simple. I think I can handle that. I'll just put the A's in one bag, the B's in the other bag, and then we'll be good. But sometimes you can get a little bit more complicated with your terms. So let's look at this one. For example, let's say I have 2a plus 2a squared plus 3b plus 5a plus 3a squared. All right, well, now we've got some different things going on here. We've got apples and bananas, but then we also have something else going on here. We have what's called an a squared term. Well, in algebra, you have to be careful because the a and the a squared term are not like terms. They are actually different terms. So, again, we're at the supermarket. We have apples, and we also have a squared. We'll call those pineapples. And then we have a third term, and that is our bananas. So you have to make sure that when you have a different exponent, when you have the little square up here, that you make sure that that is actually a separate term. So if we're going to combine these terms, let me take these away for right now. If we're going to combine these terms, we're going to circle, or we're going to separate out the like terms. There's a 2a and there's a 5a. So when we combine those, when we put those apples into the same bag, we end up with 7 apples. Then we go to the pineapples, and when we take our pineapples, we would have 2 pineapples, and we would be combining them over here with the 3 pineapples, and so we would end up with 5a squared, 5 pineapples. And then the next one, we would have just the b term, and we only have 3 bananas. We don't have anything to combine it with, and when you don't have anything to combine it with, you would just bring it down here, and that would be your answer. So our answer here would be 7a plus 5a squared plus 3b. Well, let's do one more. And sometimes, what if we're taking away? What if we're subtracting here? Because I said the lesson was about combining like terms, and sometimes you have to take away, sometimes you're adding. So let's do one with addition and subtraction. So we'll do a 3a plus 2a squared plus 5a plus excuse me, let's do minus right there, minus 6a minus a squared. Well, if you'll remember from previous lessons, when we have subtraction in algebra, depending on the plus and minus, and if you're dealing with negative and positive numbers, you just do what the sign tells you to do. So let's take this at face value and say that we have 3 apples, and we are combining them with these 5 apples right here. That's the first thing we need to do. And so we are going to come up with 8 apples. Well, then here you also have some more apples, but we are taking 6 apples away. So if we have 8 and we take away 6, then we're left with 2 apples, 2a. And so that's all of our apples, and so now we move on to the pineapples. And so if we have 2a squared, 2 pineapples, and we're subtracting an a squared. Now, if you remember, we've talked about this in the past, but if you remember, this actually has what's called a coefficient of 1. There's actually a 1 in front of that a squared. We don't always write it, but it is there. So what we'll do is we'll take 2 minus 1, and so we would end up with a positive 1 pineapple. Remember, we don't have to write that 1 there. It's understood, so we can just take that 1 away, and we would end up with 2a plus 2a squared. If you have any questions or comments, if you'd like to put it down in the comments section, I'd love to hear from you. If I can help you out with any of this stuff, or if you just have any comments, that would be great. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.